Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. This is actually me talking to Kebby. I forgot to unmute us from when I was doing it wobble. So the first, 20 minutes of the podcast we had to try to redo, which never actually happens. But I really appreciate all the support, everybody tuning in. Thank you so much, Kebby, for your time. And all you do for the sport and all you do in support of Blue Squatch. If you would like to help support Blue Squatch, please consider joining our channel membership. We could really use the support and it'll help alleviate the pressure from these teams and try to get it so we can do this more and catch all of the games. So now I'm recording again, Kevy, and our microphones are actually on. Sorry about that. We're going to, I don't mean to waste your time here, but yeah, so we just did 20 minutes of this so far. I got to find out a little bit. So we'll pretend like we're starting over again. Chris Bomberry, Kebby,
Okay.
everybody calls you. I know you as the Allegheny Arrows GM, but you were actually born and raised through Six Nations until 15?
I was, yeah, I was raised in Six Nations. I was actually born out here on the American side, but born or raised in Six Nations till about 15 years old. We made the move from Six Nations to Allegheny. My dad is actually from Six Nations. My mom is from Allegheny. So my dad um, wanted to change the scenery, I guess, or he got a job out here, and we've been out here ever since.
Yeah, so we talked. Your dad brought you to see a rock game when you were a little kid. You grew up not playing as a youngster until you were in Allegheny, but what is it like to grow up in Six Nations where, I mean, so many greats of the game? Like, as I come into this, I've only been around box lacrosse for 3 years, but like when you see what's up with that Chiefs game, was it like that when you were a kid? I mean, have they always just kind of been like the preeminent area up there?
Yeah, it was always the thing to do. Like living in Six, like on a Friday night, or the Six Nations Arrows are playing, or the Rebels were playing. There was always a game, and that's a good thing about having all the teams they do. You never get bored. Like especially when you're into lacrosse. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of lacrosse to watch all the time, right? So um, watching it, being there at, of course, at that age, you know what I mean. You're in between the lacrosse and other things, but you're at a lacrosse game, you get to see a lot of these great lacrosse players play. You know what I mean? Like, um, I grew up, watching the guys like, Sid Smith, Craig Point, Cody Jamison, you know, um, a lot of great players out there. They're a few years older than me, you know what I mean? But watching them play, never got to play with them or nothing, but it's always great to see, right? So, everybody, the whole community was always behind the teams no matter what, regular season. It was the thing to do back then, right? So it was, the Rebels were playing, you go watch the Rebels, the Arrows are playing, you go watch the Arrows, right? So, a lot of lacrosse at all the times, even during the week, right? So during the week, there's, Tuesday night, you walk down, you go watch the Chiefs play, right? So, it was always fun, like watching all these guys play and, seeing them around the community too, right? So I used to see some of them around the community too, and like, and seeing where they're at today with the game. It's really good to see.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So, I've only been up to the ILA once. That place, everybody says the Mecca. Even cooler than that was that Gaylord Palace Arena. That
Yep.
big mural in the background. That place is frickin'. That's impressive.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up going to the games at. Um, I think the ILA came a little later. I think it was maybe around a year or two after we moved to Allegheny.
Okay, so
But
that would have been the facility. That's where you guys watched everything then.
yeah, at the Gaylord, and that's where we watched everything. I think they changed the name now. I don't think it's called that now, but yeah, back then that's what it was called, and that's where all the games used to be all the time.
Yeah, I think
Arrows.
they put a statue up front to commemorate him. I don't remember what they actually call the arena now. It's a cool
Right.
place. Was that Muriel up there when you were a kid, or was that something in the recent years?
I I'm not sure. It might have been there. I'm if it was there, I didn't even notice.
You were a kid. You
I
ain't
was a
paying
young
attention.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 11, 12. years old running around the arena, you know what I mean? So
You're one of those kids that's now when we got them up top, they're just running. They hear the goal score, they run over, look
yeah,
at the replay. You didn't have that option when you were a kid, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's impressive. So I mean, you talk about growing up there. You moved to Allegheny when you were around 15, so you started playing organized box lacrosse at 15 with the Arrows. How cool is that now to watch your kids growing up and your son's playing with the same youth program now?
Yeah, it's great, man. Like I say, you always want to be, you know what I mean, the stepping stone for these young kids, right? So we don't know that when we're that age, you know what I mean? But as you get older and you start to realize and you see all that, and you know what I mean, you were part of, the build or whatever it is for an organization to grow, right? So, and for them to still be here and still compete in the way they are, and the as much youth as they have, and it's good to see these young boys getting into the game as much as they are, and that's not just here, right? It's everywhere. You know what I mean? It's a lot of these organizations are doing a great job, keeping it going and competing and showing these boys, and coaches stepping up. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to go into an organization, but it's really cool. It's cool to see. I've coached my son a few times. I choose not to coach him
Smart
just
decision.
because, like I'm dad, right? So all the dads know, like, their boys, kind of give them a harder time than they would in a different coach, right?
Well,
So,
they got to listen to you all
um,
the time. They don't want to listen to you at practice too.
yeah, yeah, right. And that's all kind of how I look at it too. So they kind of want me to coach them, but I can coach them at home if I need to, right? Like show them a little bit of things here and there, get them ready for practice. So, but it's great to see. It's good to see, man.
Yeah. So you didn't play field lacrosse until your senior year. You said you played 1 year of field. What is that like going from a guy who played box to your senior year? Now you're playing field.
I thought it was going to be a harder transition. Like I thought, field was like really complicated. You look at it and you're like, oh, you can't be here because you got to be inside the box, and like they say certain things and like lot different than box. So I was like, I think that was the most hard thing for me is like being nervous of messing a play up or messing, you know what I mean? Because like you can only have so many on offense, right? So if your D guy's running it up, one guy's got to stay back. So it's a lot of communication where versus box where you can just run up and down the court if you
Yeah.
wanted to, right? So
Well,
so it's
and when we were kids, there was no shot clock. So you're talking, it was at 10 seconds. You always had to step back into the box. You have an offsides if one of your D guy goes because you got to have four on one side because your goalie counts as one, three on the other. So,
right.
yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I came the other way too because I played field. Then I never played box, but didn't see box until a couple years ago. I think box is the best sport I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe more people aren't watching it. Compared to hockey, which is what I grew up playing, the control, it just looks sloppy now watching hockey compared to watching a box lacrosse game. Like you go and you see the way like the Whitcomb brothers or like Rudy George and Jesse Jefferson, like these guys have been playing together for years. They don't have to look anywhere. I did a juniors game the other day, and the Braves they have Kelvin Jonathan, and that kid he throws no looks to everybody. He's never looking where he passes the ball. That's the only thing I figured out is wherever that kid's looking, it's not going. So I mean, how long? I mean, you've been playing with some of these guys and coaching some of these guys now for at least what, 15 years?
Yeah. Probably about 11 years. I've been involved with the men's team for about 11 years, but playing with some of these guys for a long time. Some of these guys are a little younger. I mean, Jess Jimerson's a little younger than me. Never got to play with him a few times. Great player. Um, he's done great things, for himself in this game. Played with Rudy. A lot of guys that Rudy's probably one of the only ones on the team that I've actually played, a lot with.
And
A
you
lot of
played
these other
against
guys are
him
a
at
little
first, you
younger.
said. So your senior team, your
Yeah.
first senior team was what?
The Steenberg Hellbenders. So it was a team that came into the Can-Am. I was about 18. Yeah. So because back then we had intermediates in our minors, right? I don't think they have intermediates no more because the junior programs took over.
Okay.
But I was in like my second year of intermediates, and that was the thing back then, right? Like I'm pretty sure Rudy started playing seniors at a young
Everybody
age as
wanted to
well.
play
But like,
seniors, I bet.
yeah, like it was the thing, right? So, um, I kind of got conned into playing seniors. You know what I mean? Because you were back then. I mean, I think the rule still applies today, but you were able to play X amount of games before you got stuck up into the seniors.
Yeah.
So I think it was 4 games, and I played my fifth game. Then they told me that I had to finish out the season because I played the fifth game. But I didn't really care at the time. It was fun. You know what I mean? And um,
What is
we
that like
were
being an
we were
18-year-old in that Can-Am? I mean, that league is intense. You have skill levels from, I mean, the best of the best, really, to, I mean, just crazy athletes to just some monsters. Like, you got some of them big defensive guys for Tonawanda. Like, you run into Stu Sundown. Like, that's a big boy to run into as an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, yeah. At an 18-year-old boy, I mean, and I'm not everybody that knows me, I'm not a big dude, right? So, one thing I did have that, worked for me was speed. So I just, learned from a lot of guys, and um, I was just told to keep my feet moving. So that's what I did. I didn't want, I'm like everybody. I mean, I didn't like getting hit. So, I mean, it's part of the game. You don't like it, but, it happens. So if you don't want to get hit, you got to keep your feet moving. So I made sure I tried to keep my feet moving as much as I can, right? So, as a young boy, skinny, scrawny, 5'9", like running around, like you try to, run away from those guys, and so I mean it's fun though, you know what I mean? No matter, it's part of the game and it's fun.
So what position did you play when you started at 18? What were you playing in the seniors? Were you a D transition guy or did they throw you right up front?
I was right out front. I was on offense, and I actually played with Hot Rod a lot too, and I connected with Hot Rod a lot. Like we did a lot of good things on offense. He was more of a D guy when he was younger, but somewhere down the line he squeezed his way up to the O door.
He didn't want to run
But he
as
was
much anymore, is what it was, I think.
yeah, but he was good though. You know what I mean? He was good on the outdoor. He scored his fair share. You know what I mean? And he's a vet of the game for a long time. Did a lot of great things in his playing career
Yeah,
too.
without
So,
Hot Rod, I wouldn't know
um,
you. So, I mean, kudos to Hot Rod and kudos for Utica Yeti because he's a crazy guy. COVID shut everything down in Can Am. He went over to Utica to play for a year. I mean, these guys just
yeah,
can't get enough of it.
yeah. These guys they'll travel. I mean, the game you'll never stay away from the game no matter what. Like
No,
if
once you're into
one
it,
team shuts down.
it's got you. So I mean, they really got their claws into you at 15. You play for the Steenberg team for a little while. So I mean, how many teams were in Can Am back then? Was it bigger or is it about the same size it is now?
It kind of varied. I mean, sometime at one point I think we had 10 teams.
Yeah, you had
We had
like
10 teams,
Pinewood, I've
and
heard of, and so
yeah,
your team.
Pinewoods, Buffalo Creek, Steenberg Hellbenders, Onondaga, your Newtown,
Allegheny
Tuscarora,
Pine, yeah.
Allegheny, yeah, Rochester actually had a team. Um, they actually were in a couple times. So the first time they were the Grey Wolves. Um, they had a pretty decent team back then too. So yeah, it was. I think Six Nations usually had a team. We had the Sting in there. Then when they left, we had the Six Nations Slash that were in there for quite a long time. Then now that they're gone, now we got the Six Nations Warriors. So Six Nations always had a team, and believe it or not, my dad said back in the day the Six Nations Chiefs used to be into this, and I don't know if it was the Can Am, but I think they used to be in a league too where they because he remembers as a young boy Newtown and Six Nations playing against each other.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I mean,
So
especially back in the day, though, I mean, you used to have these guys were all traveling all over the place. Guys were telling stories of laying in the back of the pickup truck and riding from Newtown up to, yeah, head up there to play. It is pretty crazy to me how dedicated it is. So one thing you were saying before when I accidentally forgot to record this was how different the youth is there. How cool is it when you guys go as like a youth group that you guys do like the whole day? That's got to make things so much more convenient for parents traveling that like if you've got a kid in Tykes and Novice, you guys are at one facility for the day.
yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, being at one, I'd rather do it this way, I guess. You know what I mean? Just because you get to watch both boys play, boys or girls if you have a daughter playing. Um, you get to watch them play if they're in two different age groups. The downside is it makes for long days, but it all you know what I mean. It's great to see. You know what I mean. Like for me, I got one boy and I think he's in Pee Wee, my oldest. Then the other one's in tight, I believe. So one plays earlier in the morning, the other one plays, a little later in the afternoon. So, and it's good to see, um, all the families there supporting the organization and supporting their youth and on both sides, no matter who we're playing, right? So, and it kind of brings us together as Native people, and a lot of people know each other, right? Just through the sport itself or other things. So it's good to catch
There's
up with
yeah,
everybody.
so many people I've met doing this, like you said, but it's generally the same kind of group of guys. You see the same, you've got a handful of guys from each spot that you like to see. So the Arrows have been a team consistently, but they've changed GMs a few times, and you've been the GM for what, like 11 years, 10 years, you said?
Yeah, about 11 years I took the team over. So about I was probably about 25 when I took the team.
Pretty young to take a team over.
Yeah, well, it actually is. So, um, but we do some weird things to keep the game alive, right? So I felt like the GM that had it just um, had a lot of stuff going on, right? So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy and time to have to run a team. The backdoor stuff.
Huge amounts of time people don't
The
see with organizing
yeah,
things. Even just like
right.
jerseys, t-shirts, like things like that, people don't understand the hours and hours. The GMs really are the unsung heroes of all these leagues because everybody wants to bitch about the GM when things aren't going right, but nobody really wants to step up. So I really appreciate you guys doing it. Like you said, sometimes guys just get burned out. So thank you very much for
Yeah.
stepping up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have an Arrows team to film. I mean, so yeah, I mean, 11 years ago, you kind of step up. You've been involved. How have the Arrows done historically? Because I don't know much about, like, I know I hear Onondaga was a powerhouse, but I also hear Tonawanda used to not be competitive. And since I've been around, Tonawanda's been a pretty good team.
Well, yeah. Allegheny kind of had its years. I mean, I don't think they've always been a powerhouse per se. They've always been competitive. There's a lot of great players in this area that are good players. You know what I mean? It's the hardest thing with Allegheny is just putting it together and getting guys to come play because Allegheny is far from a lot of things, right? It's far. It's
It's
hour and
the
something from
farthest
Buffalo, so it's like
farthest place for me to go.
it
You guys are 6 hours.
yeah,
Allegheny and like Salamanca
right.
is really like out there. So I mean, and like even your juniors team, you guys had tough time getting the numbers the first year, but now this year your numbers look way better. I mean, you guys are moving things in the right direction, but you kind of got to get through those frustrating years of just kind of tolerating it and hoping that if I keep doing this right, it's gonna grow.
Yeah, you just can't give up, right? I've never been like that. I've always been I never gave up on like so easy. You know what I mean? Like I've always been dedicated. Like every team I played for, I was dedicated to them, you know what I mean? And like um I just see a lot of great things. Like even with the men's team, that's what drove me um to not give up, right? So it's like you can't just look what's in front of you. Gotta look past that, right? And the kids that are coming up, and I seen the generation that we have now. Kobe, his brother Keon. You know what I mean? A lot of guys like Clifford Brooks, Dana Ray, Zach Miller, Wyatt Cooper, like all these guys' generation. That's kind of who I aimed for, because and and it kind of drives you, right? Because like if you have the guys coming up, you gotta take your beatings, right? Arrow's been through some rough times. I mean, we've dropped out of the league, like going into playoffs a few times because we didn't have the numbers to compete in the playoffs. Halfway through the season, we drop out, but we held strong and just did what we had to do and recruited and waited for generations because you know eventually you're gonna be no matter how good you are, you're eventually your time will run out, right? So you're gonna have you're gonna have guys retiring. We all get older, so you're gonna have to rebuild. So you're rebuilding all that what you just built back over again, right? And The good thing is a lot today with a lot of lacrosse players, they're getting the experience by going to play other places, different coaches. Everybody's, philosophy is different, but the game's always stays the same. So, you know what I mean? And the players are doing a good job by just taking it in, right? So whoever's coaching them or wherever they're playing, they're getting the experience, whether it's Can-Am or in a different league or and that's the biggest thing, right? Is just keep playing, and eventually the the knowledge will come. You just got to be a sponge, and just open your ears a little bit more, and give your coaches, no matter who they are, the respect of them being your coach, and listen to what they got to say. You know what I mean? Because it's no different than listening to a vet on a team, right? So they're all there to help, and I think these young guys are doing a great job of that, and they're coming going back to where they're from and representing their hometowns well. You know what I mean? Like there's no slouches, and especially the Can-Am. I can speak for the Can-Am because that's the league we're in, but like there's a lot of great teams in this league, right? A lot of great players. Actually, when I first got
Yeah,
Billy D, he kind of expressed how there's so much talent in this league, right? So
yeah, because I mean everybody likes to make a big deal about the big names that play on teams. So you're allowed to have three pros now. So Sturos, you've had for since I followed you, which was a big deal for me as a Firewolves fan. I actually
right,
personally blame Sturos and Grennan when they got rid of those two guys, that's why they didn't make the playoffs this year. And I mean, I know nobody
yeah,
really cares what my opinion is, but honestly, they
right,
were missing those grinder guys though. Like Sturos, there's very few guys that can kill 30 seconds off a shot clock. When you're man
yeah,
down. Like Sturos, Leo just runs and runs and runs and runs and never runs out of steam.
yeah,
And he also
yeah,
has a way of getting under guys' skin with a smile on his face, which makes it like even worse when he's pissing you off. Like you could just see the guys getting more and more mad as he's like smirking and going. But I mean, really, it is those like your core group of guys because you could have a handful of pros that come, but if you don't have the solid, 10, 15 guys that are there to carry the team, to carry the defense, to get the transition. Because every team you're going to need, a bunch of goals from your offense, but you need those three or four. I mean, how many of these games come down to a couple goal games? I mean, quite a few of them.
yeah. Well, like we went to President's Cup last year. Our first four games were by one or two goals. We won by, right. So, and a couple of those games we were even down, and those core guys come in. They're real important to your team, right? They come in when you need them. Whether it's a ground ball or causing a penalty, right? So all that um, goes against the other team, and it's good for your team. So yeah, a lot of those guys. It's good to have guys like that. Grinders. You want guys to get the go to the dirty areas. Get a ground ball. You know what I mean? Whether it's Jesse, Leo, like these guys they're all over the ground balls, right? And like Leo's got a ton of experience, right? Like he's played NLL, he's played Junior A. I'm pretty sure him and Jesse Jimerson have a
Yeah.
Minto Cup together,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, so they were teammates one before. I think in 14 they won the Minto together, so they got a ton of experience, and guys like that is guys you want to listen to, right? And the young guys listen to these guys, and
I mean, that is something
it's
like you
different.
guys in Allegheny, you pack the stadium. Like a lot of people are afraid, they say to do the live streams, except for you and Tonawanda, who both, even if I'm live streaming and everybody knows I'm live streaming, people still pack the house for you guys. I mean, because you guys have an atmosphere. It's like everybody it's a community event. It really is. And like you see all the kids staying afterwards. I love the Can-Am when all the kids come out with the helmets on, and it's pretty much, I mean, you could expect just like certain people yelling at the kids to put their helmets on, but like some of these kids, you'll see them trying to redo things that they just saw it happen in the period. How cool is that for you to now, you've been doing it for a little over a decade, to really see like some of those kids that were probably out there with their helmets on are now on that team.
Yeah, yeah. Austin maybe's one of them.
Yeah.
Austin maybe was, when I was playing, like he was just a young guy, right? So now he's playing for the team, and that's why you build these teams. You know what I mean? Like you build them for the young to have a team to play on to represent. You know, we're not just representing our hometown; we're representing our league. You know what I mean? Is a big thing. Like I'm big on that too, representing our league. When you go to President's Cup, like you're representing your league, your team, your people, your community, right? So, um, yeah, it's good to see. It's kind of why we started the junior B too, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
kudos
it's
on
good to
that
see
too.
the league.
Last year was tough. Like it's everything is tough your first year. Barry Melrose was my coach when I was a kid, and he always said if winning was easy, everybody would do it. So like it's one of those things you're gonna lose more in life than you win. Really, to be able to get through and get over the hump. And now to see this year where you guys have the numbers, and I see your kids in the parking lot getting all excited, telling, "Hey, we didn't lose 19 to the first game I saw was 19 to 10. You guys were losing at the end, but then to have your guys talking about the next our Six Nations game, not Grand River, but the playing the fire again, and how excited these kids are when they see us show up. Like, how cool is that now? As a guy, I mean, yes, your boys aren't quite old enough, but you can see your boys there in a few years.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's really exciting. I just now that I'm not playing, I try to stay around it as much as I can. So I feel like you look around at a lot of these. Me growing up in six, that's where I look to the most because that's where some of my roots come from as well. So um, I grew like growing up. They have all the minors. They have junior A. They got junior B. They got senior A. They got senior B. So they got tons and tons of lacrosse. But it's good because you're building that. There's stepping stones all the way up from when you're young guy, 3 years old, starting all the way up to wherever lacrosse takes you. But you have all these choices of teams to play on, right? So and me. I paid attention to a lot of boys in our community, and like a lot of boys, once the junior Bs on this side formed, a lot of boys weren't playing as much because of there's no more intermediates, right? So the intermediates kind of fizzled once the junior Bs started, and it's not a bad thing. It's just some of these guys maybe didn't have the confidence to go try out for the junior B team. Back then I think all we had was the War Chiefs. So, and they always had a great team. They were always competitive. They made it to the Founders Cup. I don't know how many times. I think every year they've been in the league
Yeah, pretty much the
besides the
running.
last,
Yeah,
yeah, last few years. But yeah, then I wanted to form a junior B team before COVID hit. I actually was getting involved in that and trying to get my ducks in a row, and we actually had a whole board formed to start a junior B team. Then COVID hit, and we never got that chance. But there was, guys that was gonna be able to start our team off as Amos Whitcomb, Xavier, like all these guys back then in 19 and 2000 were or 2020 that were junior age still. So these guys would have been the foundation and started our junior B team off, but COVID hit and we weren't able to do that. So I mean, we're here now. We're trying to be as competitive as we can because nobody likes to get whooped on.
yeah,
So I mean, and it's what I mean. I imagine it's not fun for the other team either, right? Like it doesn't prepare you for anything, right? So the goal is to be the best, but to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now in the junior B leagues, it's Onondaga and the War Chiefs, right? Well, Onondaga's not in this year,
yeah.
which is unfortunate, but so it's going to be the War Chiefs. So, um,
Yeah, unless Tusky or Tonawanda steps up big here, because so I got a chance to watch Tusky. So how long has Tusky been a team? I mean, is that a recent thing too, or how long have were they before COVID? The
I
junior team?
believe so. Yeah, they're recent. Last maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe five at the most, but
Yeah.
they're a recent team. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty impressive what Randy's got going up there with his junior team. They've got a handful of local kids, and he really took it upon himself to go to all the colleges and talk to all these players, and he ended up with a lot of talent. But I mean, there's some things that are just so hard to replicate, like goaltending. If you have a goaltender like that Prego kid out of Tonawanda, man, that kid's a beast.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's only because he's had these like high level guys shooting on him forever. Like these goalies, having the shooters, like you said, you got to be the best or beat the best to be the best. So when you have that kind of level of guys shooting on you from ever, I mean, it's insane the talent that really comes through some of these small towns. When you actually learn how small some of these nations are, like Tonawanda is not a very big town, and like the amount of guys that have come out of there and Onondaga with less than what is it, less than 2,000 people in actual Onondaga,
Yeah,
and like the
yeah,
talent that's come out of there is just insane.
yeah. I actually played for Randy. Randy's a great coach. Believe it or not, I played very short, maybe 2 games, 3 games for Tonawanda back in when I was playing seniors. Allegheny was just they were just stacked, right? So they I was one of those guys that was going to practice, young guy, and to just get my reps when I can. So I was kind of ticked off about it. So I got an opportunity to go play for Tonawanda, so I took it. So I went out to Tonawanda and played for Tonawanda, and it was short lived. I was a young guy, I wasn't working, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it was hard for me to travel for the practice. But Randy was the head coach there, and that same year he beat Tonawanda beat Newtown out of the playoffs. So Newtown's always been a great team, and they had a lot of young guys that were, fresh into seniors that were, good. A lot of good. Like Newtown's always had a great team. So that just shows the level of coaching that Randy brings to the table, right? So a lot of guys bought in, and Tonawanda at the time was just a lot of hometown guys. You know what I mean? Like, no big names. Just a lot of guys that had passion for the game and bought into what their coach was bringing to the table, and they went out there and they just executed, and they beat Newtown out of the playoffs, which is a great thing. I mean, at the time, a good thing for Tonawanda's community. So
Yeah, yeah, no, and like last year was the first year that they had made it to the finals, I think, right? Because I know that was a big deal for them as well, and they really took it personal. And I tell you, the coolest part for me was showing up to Tonawanda and seeing how in shape everybody was, and they said we lost in the finals last year because Allegheny beat us in the first game, and we couldn't keep up with them in the second game. Because that first game, that was a close game. That could have gone either way, really. And then they ran
right.
out of steam for game two. I mean, the parity between the teams is crazy. I mean, they were able to squeak this last one uh, by 2 goals. They beat you. What is it like to take like guys that have never played outdoor to Tonawanda for the first time? Because you get some guys that you bring down there, and all of a sudden you show up to Tonawanda. It's got to be an experience.
Oh, for sure. Like these guys that's never played outdoors like that, like they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. They're like, man, this is awesome. Like I've never done this. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I guess it almost sounds like a bucket list thing, right? Like, oh, I can check it off. But, um, yeah, they like it. They like the outdoors. I mean, they like it because it was at night. But I've played there many years, and you don't want to play there on a hot summer day.
My
You
computer
know,
equipment, I
like,
got all kinds of fans going, just trying to calm my stuff down. Yeah, the goalie is the toughest position to play in Tonawanda. No wonder they get a bunch of good guys because you're playing in the rain where your gear's 1,000 pounds. It's 100 degrees or it's snowing. Like there's all conditions.
right.
I got to see Grennan's like when he pulled in to Tonawanda too. That was cool, and like you could tell, like you getting out of the car, and it's just like this place is, yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a bucket list type thing. I mean, especially you go there for a night game. One of the coolest things last year, so because Charity's not allowed to film there, she sits over in the stands, and she was laughing. So you had kids from Tonawanda running over and taking selfies with your guys in the penalty box, and then the parents are screaming like at the players. And Tonawanda gets it's the wild, wild west out there, man. I love it. The fan. You talk about
Yeah.
passion. I don't know if anybody's fans. I mean, you guys pack the stadium too, but man, those Tonawanda people are passionate. They sometimes take it to that next level.
Yeah, that's a great thing though, because that's what the players are playing for, right? That's who they're playing for. So that they get the passion from the fans is, hypes their guys up even more, and that's why it's a tough place to play. You know what I mean? They definitely got the home court advantage, right? Like they got the elements, that can go
Chain link
against you.
fence instead of
You know,
plexiglass.
Yeah, and you got the fans that, they'll get right in your face. They don't care, you know what I mean?
Well, and
So
they're literally
it's
screaming through it though. Most people aren't. You're used to plexiglass where they kind of got to scream over and you
yeah,
can barely hear them. I mean, here when they're yelling at you, you can feel their breath on your face. Especially
right.
you got a big guy like pushing you up into the chain link, and you got somebody screaming in your face from the other. I never thought about that till you just said that. You're like they're up close. I was like, oh
Yeah,
man, yeah, that's like they're on the
yeah.
other side of chain link screaming through it at you.
Yeah. I mean, they're so close, they can throw ice cream at you. You know what I mean? So it's like it's great though. Like it's not, I don't take nothing to heart like that. You know what I mean? Because it's the fans are the fans, right? Like they're
It's what
sticking up for
makes
their
it
team. You know what I
it's
mean?
what makes it as good as it is. Like you guys do a great job. Mr. Becker's one of our favorite. We always usually see him at the arena, and Josh. But I mean like that whole you get used to seeing certain people, and there was like parents of the players that would come up to us and like thank us for the stream, and it's like, well, this is all Kebby. He gets us here to record it so we can try to get things going. So we do appreciate it. I mean, how long is that Seneca Allegheny been the ACC been a thing? Because that place is gorgeous. My daughter literally calls it the beautiful place. She's like, "Oh, are we going to the pretty place?"
It's it's probably been about 15 years, maybe 15 years it's been up. Before that, we used to play out of an outdoor box as well. You know what I mean? Before, like, when the Arrows used to play, and even like when I was on the Steenberg Hellbenders team, we used to play outside of that box too, right?
Is there
So,
still an outdoor box
um,
somewhere?
there is in Steenberg actually. Right where I live just down the road. There's an outdoor box there that a lot of I just took my son there to shoot around the other night, and it's good. Like I used to be one of those kids, man, like 15, 16. I was there till sometimes 11 o'clock. I'd shut the lights off, right? So when the box was where the ACC was, they used to, leave the lever to turn the lights off unlocked, right? Some places they have a timer.
Yeah.
There is, you know what I mean? You left, you just shut the lights off when you left, right? So,
That's how
um,
Tonawanda is, and I've never like we take an hour and change to pack up. We're usually some of the last people to leave the arena though, and I have never seen where the kids have been off the field when we've left. Like we got there, I had to check out of the hotel at 11. The game wasn't till 3 o'clock. We got there literally like 10 after 11, 11:30 ish, and there was already kids that had been there all day, and like you just see bikes, dirt bikes, four wheelers, which is one of my other favorite things too. Like these kids ride four wheelers there. Mom and dad
yeah,
come by and just beep the horn, and like everybody looks to see whose car it is, and they're like, "Okay, see ya."
yeah,
They just gotta leave.
yeah.
It's a cool thing. And so I mean, not as much in Salamanca because like in Tonawanda, one of the biggest things they say is you provide those kids with an opportunity because they're so close to the big city, they don't want to lose them to the inner city. Whereas you are more battling boredom in video games, I would imagine, versus because you guys don't have Buffalo on your doorstep.
Yeah, a lot of it is video games. My son's one of them. Like I gotta, kind
I
of
got one upstairs doing the same
keep,
thing.
yeah, gotta kind of keep him busy outdoors and keep that stick in his hand. I mean, but yeah, that's probably you're 100% right. Boredom and video games is probably our biggest thing here in Allegheny. We don't really have Salamanca is not a big city, so it's not. I mean, you can still get caught up in stuff that you don't want to, but it's not as big as some of these cities that these other reses are close to,
Syracuse
right?
and
On a
Buffalo
dog.
in particular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, we don't really have that. We don't have that big city type vibe. So a lot of
But
these boys are just
you guys have some crazy outdoor boxes at your high school. I've driven by there and seen them. That is quite the setup for a high school. Like our high school, our kids play on dirt and they mark divots out on the game sometimes with cones. They treat our lacrosse
mhm,
players like the illegitimate stepchild of our school. They like just don't like the lacrosse. It's new at our school. It's only been around for a couple years. So we have a football field that doesn't have a football team that plays on it, and our kids can't. And we mark cones around the divots in the field so the kids don't fall and hurt themselves. We're working on it, but it's a. I mean, how cool is it to see Salamanca though? I mean, you guys have some gorgeous fields there.
yeah. They actually as part of the school renewal, I guess, or they got they did the whole park. The field lacrosse field is very nice. They put two outdoor boxes there that are really nice. Yeah, I would like to, host a game there, whether it's seniors
That
or
would be
juniors.
so
You know what I
cool.
mean? It'd be pretty cool. It's just the only thing, a lot of rules because it is considered school property.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of like, can't
Insurance
smoke
policies.
cigarettes or
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, insurance and all that stuff. But if we can ever host a game there, I think it'd be really cool to
That would be amazing.
host something.
Especially like you get a big game down there where you're playing, somebody, like you and Ton. Honestly, I see you and Tonawanda being 1 and 2 unless I mean it. Obviously, everybody's got to play the games. I haven't seen Grand River a ton, but I know they brought in the Paulus boys. So, I mean, what is it like for you to see this league getting so competitive? Is there limiting the pros when you guys have always had about that number of pros anyway? So it kind of seems like the rest of the President's Cup now is going to be, on the same level as you guys.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's great to see these teams get better. Like it only betters our league, right? Like I said before, like my goal isn't just to come in, you know what I mean, and smoke everybody in the league. That's not my goal. My goal is I'm looking at that President's Cup, right? So Ontario's owned that President's Cup for years and years, right? I mean, Onondaga won it in I think 14, I believe. So,
Yeah.
and before then, I think it was Newtown. So Can-Am it produces champions, but it's the gap is so big, right? So I'm just, for my team, I'm just trying to shorten that gap up and um,
Actually, yeah. So
let
I think it
everybody
was
know.
Tuscarora, Newtown, and then Onondaga won it in 10, 11, and 14. But yeah,
Okay.
since then though, it has not been has I don't think it's been won again since. But that really surprised me because like I knew Onondaga, I just knew the powerhouse that they were. But to now see like you guys went up there, really represented well for, last year you guys won the first 4 games, right? Ended up
Yeah.
with bronze when you so I mean that's a huge showing right there to be able to get bronze going up, but to really see how competitive this league's gotten and to get to provide a place for like Amos Whitcomb to play with those pro guys. So now when he's going to be drafted at some point. I don't think it's a matter of if. I just think it's a matter of what place.
Right.
But I mean, how cool is it for you now? You were aiming for like his older brothers to have a place to play, and now you've got the younger brother playing at U Albany and getting to play with guys like Kluche, Frazier. He's got go at throwing long outlet passes to him if he gets out early. I mean, you guys literally had the leading face-off guy. This is why I love Trevor too much, or so much too, because Trevor Butts fills me in on the history of these guys. So I had no idea who Thornburg was. And then he's like telling me, he's probably the go to the face off guys. I was like, oh, really? He's like, oh yeah, no. He's like, he's a beast. So I mean, to get to see your some of your younger guys like Amos, Austin, to watch these guys play, that's got to be so cool to see. Like just he's getting a pass and throwing a one time around the back door from Frazier Cluche. That's got to be something.
Yeah, I think it just gives them confidence to, when they are ready or they do get drafted or wherever the game takes them and they get to a high level, it just, kind of prepares them and knows what kind of talent they're going to be playing with, right? So it's great. It's great to be able to give these guys the opportunity, and it's good to see a lot of guys in our teams in our league giving their hometown boys the same opportunity, right? So because I know Tonawanda, right? Owen Hill got a tryout with Ottawa. You know what I mean? So it's always great to
And
see,
he's getting better and better
our
too. I would expect him. That's the thing too. There's really getting some eyeballs on this league. You got a lot of guys that were in camps that now, I mean, as they're kind of, yeah, I see that 3 pro thing becoming an issue because you could have a team with just the hometown guys where if you've got a couple of these guys who are buddies with so and he comes and plays because they played in this tournament or that, and then the next thing you know, you're really limited on who you can have even with your hometown guys. That's gotta suck. You see guys moving all over the place now for that.
yeah, it's it's definitely gonna, cause some issues down the road probably because everybody's goal. A lot of boys' goal is to be, to play at the highest level they can.
Yeah, and that's why
right?
a lot of
So
them are here, though, is because they think this is the highest level that's going to get them the best attention. And you guys have done a great job of, providing them with that opportunity. It's unfortunate James couldn't, hold on to it with Tusky because I tell you, like, that was really becoming a great rivalry, too. And then, but now to see all those players kind of rotate through the different teams, like you've got Nick Miller. Like, I was watching him and I was like, or no, Nick's with Tonawanda. But yeah, and you've got Ben Austin was who I was thinking of. But then I seen him running down
yeah,
the floor the other day, and I was like, that. I know that's not Sturos. I just saw the number and I called him Sturos a couple times. Then he ran by. I was like, that's not Leo. But I mean, to watch these guys kind of go and find new homes. I mean, it's what's so cool about this league is most of these guys have played together too, and it's kind of interesting to see where guys end up playing because you're like, how did you end up over there playing? And it's like, well, I played with this guy when I was a
yeah.
kid. And he said I should come down and try it.
Yeah, and that's usually how how it works, right? A lot of guys, they all know each other. You know, whether they play in tournaments with each other or played with each other as kids or in a different league. But um, it comes eventually comes full circle, and a lot of these guys end up on the same teams as one another, and like as GMs of each team, right? Everybody on the GMs of the other teams, like their job is to try to make their team better, right? So if that opportunity comes and they bring, a guy brings two buddies that are, good lacrosse players, it only betters your team, right? So then you better your team, you better the league, right? So it's great to see. I hear a lot of rumors, on the street about even Newtown getting better. You know what I mean? So
There's rumors on the
so
street
look,
of that. Two new teams coming in next year. I heard rumors. One is pretty much a guarantee. The other one, not so much as much of a guarantee. It's more of a rumor. But I've heard there's at least one team making a comeback slash coming back, coming into the league as a new team, depending on how you want to look at it next year. That'll be exciting. I love watching it grow. I love watching the young guys play. So like Nate Kettle, that was another guy. I didn't realize he was so young until I was talking to him afterwards and his dad, and they're like, "No, he's only 18 last year." I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, no, he started playing seniors and was just like, no, I want to keep playing seniors." And he's a beast out there though. Like I never would have thought he was 18. He's a solid kid.
yeah, he dedicated himself to the weight room, was in a weight room and stayed in a weight room and always been a great player all through minors, you know what I mean? Little like on the shorter side, but he makes up for, his gameplay, you know what I mean? That goes to show that you don't need to be, 7 foot tall to play lacrosse, right? So
No, if
everybody
he
goes
if he
back
goes
to
into the
your
corner with his size, that's the one thing too, though, is because he actually is in such a better body position though to be able to get under these guys, and he's like a fire hydrant though. I mean, he is stout. You're not pushing him over for the most part. So like when he gets into that corner, especially when they get that one hand and they're just kind of blocking with the elbow and they get it. I like his odds when he's going into the corner with it. It's one of my favorite things though, is as I learn like the different guys' styles. Honestly, Kobe Whitcomb, I am a little upset I didn't get a hold of him, but he is just one of those players. When I watch him, I don't care what jersey he has on, what team he's playing for. I can tell you that's Kobe Whitcomb. He has just got
yeah,
that like silky smooth floats, and he looks like he's small, but like he just goes into all these piles, comes through, looks like he's unscathed. Kean last week fights through the triple team, backs out, and just rifles a shot in the net, and like that kind of stuff just amazes me. Like I feel like it's just one of those things you can't teach. So it's either guys love it and they spend hours and hours and hours with the stick in their hand battling with brothers. I mean, that is one thing with brothers. You constantly have somebody you're playing against. It is funny. Amos is the
yeah.
biggest of all of them, though, because I mean, he's the youngest, and yeah, he is a monster. Like you see him come in with their gear on, and you're like, you guys are all brothers. He's huge.
Yeah, yeah. Um, those boys been battling with each other for a long time. They're brothers. They've been playing in backyard. I know. Their dad would suit up and let them go. One on one with each other, and then that's the great thing because that's what gets you better. It's the backyard stuff that really helps your game out. You know what I mean? And we sometimes we forget that, and like that's why I try to encourage my son to go out and um,
Got to have fun. If you're
get
not,
knocked over by
yeah,
some trees.
yeah,
you know?
no, yeah, have fun with it. So, like
Yeah.
I had a chance to interview Lyle Thompson once, and he basically said the reason he thinks he's so good at lacrosse is just because he finds it fun. Like it's what he
Yeah.
does when he's stressed out. He grabs a stick and goes out and plays. Like it's what he does to alleviate stress. It's just what he does, because he enjoys it. And he's like, I honestly believe that's why I'm so good. It's easy for me to put all this work into it because I truly, love it. And when you can see when guys are having fun, like I mean, there's nothing like watching Lane Smith sprint down, realize he beat a bunch of people who did not realize he was so fast. He might have a ton of stamina, but I tell you what, man, that guy is ridiculously fast in burst where all of a sudden you could just see he blows by somebody and then he's like smiling at him like you did not see that coming, did you, bud? And yeah, no, there's that's a blast, man. He's another one of those guys. Yeah, I could go all day with your team. I do love watching you guys. It's Chase. So, and that's the other thing. Like, I cannot for the life of me figure out why Chase Martin. That's your other goalie, right? Am I? I didn't screw his name
Yeah.
up. All right, so why Chase is not playing somewhere? He is honestly one of the best goalies. I like year after year. If we film the World Games, I love watching him play. Man, he makes just save after save after save. He is a beast out there.
Yeah, he's a really good goalie. He I remember watching him when he was with the Rebels, right? So like he's always been a goalie, and his name always came up in a lot of conversations about being good goalies. And I know he's had his tryouts with Halifax and stuff like that. And um, yeah, it sucks not seeing him in the league. You know what I mean? In the NLL, I
There's
truly think
so
he's
few
he's
spots,
one of
but
those guys.
yeah.
Yeah, and that goes to show maybe the league is the NLL is like um it's tough to crack a roster. You know what I mean? Like guys are working hard and doing what they have to do to get in, and it might not just be enough, or guys might not even just choose that route, right?
Well,
So
a
I'm
lot of
not
it is
sure
too.
why he's not.
Guys are working, so it's not like this is a full time job. So, like, if you got a
Yeah.
job where you can't make every Friday night or whatever, I mean, you're not going to be able to tell them, hey, sorry, guys, I can't make Friday night games. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Right, right. And you got to really commit when you make, NLL roster, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of, missed work and stuff like that. So I don't know if like, you know what I mean? If that's something some guys choose not to go, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. Well,
whatever
Corey,
reason, I hope maybe.
yeah, Corey Becker, like he's another one of those guys. Like I've talked to guys before, and they're like, "No, he just does this thing and works." Because, like, you watch him, he's one of these players in the Can-Am, can run all day. Like you could put him out on offense anywhere, but he plays that defense transition role, and like those guys just play it. Honestly, I think that's where Can-Am shines. It's like they have so many defense transition style, like just so many great lacrosse players. Like they don't have a ton of great
Mhm.
defensive guys. You've got some great goal scorers, but it's not as much like each team has a couple of their big goal scorers. But I think like really if you were to each Can-Am team, I believe, has 3D transition guys that could be on an NLL roster, and I don't think that's like a an overstatement or a gross like no way he's crazy. I think if you looked at each one of these teams, they really have three of those guys who could, make any one of these NLL teams. And I wish more guys would pay attention to it because I do love when those guys get the goals. Like even this year. So you got Taylor Jensen now playing for the Braves. And like that is just like when you get to watch these games live to really see the athleticism of the guys that are competing with him and running with him and it's just nuts.
Yeah, he's fast. When we
Yeah.
played him,
He's a
he's
gazelle, man. He's just
he's
out there. He's like
yeah,
God.
he's pretty quick. He's pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these guys. I hope we get a lot more exposure in this league, and a lot of guys get more opportunities. Especially our young guys. You know what I mean? Because they're putting in the hard work to get themselves to that level, and I know pro is a whole nother level. So some guys took that route, right? Some guys took it without college. I don't know if going to college is easier to get into the league. I'm not too sure on that, but
I would even say the
if,
NLL not so much. I think the biggest problem with the NLL is everybody's convinced you got to go through Canada, and it's because all the
yeah,
GMs and the coaches for the most part are all Canadian guys, and that's just they hire what they know. They know guys. They're all into those leagues. It's why I find it so impressive when you get guys that crack the roster spots, and then you get to really see it. Like Marshall Paulus, it blew my mind. They didn't. I don't know what happened with him in Albany, but somehow he didn't make it. And now you're watching him. Like I watched him in that first Grand River game, and like the way he throws passes and envisions the field, and he's getting bigger. I mean, that was his one knock. He's not a very big guy by any stretch. He's like, Kobe Wickham. Like you see him out there, and you're like, ooh boy, you need a couple more sandwiches or something because you
Yeah,
just like I don't know
yeah,
how you're going to handle it. But they're so used to playing like that, though. They just they like avoid the big hits and just do what they got to do. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just so crazy.
yeah. You gotta hit the weight room when if you want to go to that next level. I mean, like you see it all the time, right? I mean, Lyle Thompson was one. He wasn't, a really big dude in college. He made it do NLL and PLL, and he kind of, did what he had to do to bulk up a little bit to not get pushed around. You know what I mean? And same with Zed Williams, right? Zed Williams you stand next to him, he's a monster. You know what I mean?
Lyle's
Like he's
so
a
much bigger than anybody realizes too. Like when you actually stand
yeah,
next to Lyle and like you see the size of his forearms, you're like, ooh, you are way bigger in
yeah,
person than you look on TV. Those guys must all be
right.
freaks you're standing next to all the time, bud, because yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
a lot of these guys, they just, I think, they want to get better. So, one way to get better is to hit the weight room or, whatever it is, your diet or whatever,
yeah.
to be able to withstand a lot of, hits or whatever to keep up and to the pro level.
So I mean, how cool is it now? So last year you guys had Billy D. I still see him kind of kicking around. I don't know what his official capacity is now, but you got Zed there. I mean, you, you guys are really having creating a culture where you've got young guys showing up like hungry to be able to learn from these guys and like guys that are just happy to kind of make the practice roster and get in there. Like I mean, obviously everybody wants to crack the game roster, but when you start having guys that are kind of comfortable knowing that they might not make the game roster, that's got to be a pretty cool feeling to know you're providing that kind of experience.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do. You want to bring these guys in so, the young guys can learn from them, right? Like these guys got tons of experience. They've been, you know, as far as lacrosse can take them, right? So having Zeddy is working really well for our team. I mean, he's young guy still playing, but he coaches like he's coached for years, right? So that just goes to show that he's got a lot of knowledge in the game and pays attention to when he's being coached. So it's good to see, and these young guys learning from guys like that only helps them. It only helps them get better.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it's great.
plus
It's
like
great to
when
have them.
in Allegheny, so that you're sitting there and you're looking, and then all of a sudden you see Zach Miller's, DU poster hanging up behind him, so all these kids get to see it. And then I didn't know what his status was. I knew he had some injury issues, but then to see him back at full speed this year, that's got to be a pretty big relief for you guys and for him. I mean, for him, he really looks like he's come back like when Longboat came back from his ACL, his one leg was about a half size smaller, like literally 2 inches smaller when I stood next to him. It was funny. But to
Yeah.
Zach has really seemed like he's flying out there. I don't know if he really looks like he's lost a step at all.
No, he hasn't. I
In fact, he
mean,
looks faster than he did before he got injured because he was kind of beat up from
Zach
Worlds
is
and everything else.
Yeah, Zach is actually faster than most people think he is. Like when Zach gets going, like he can run. You know what I mean? So like you don't see it much because he's an offensive player, but sometimes like if you catch him, in transition, like running back on D, like he's pretty quick. You know what I mean? So like yeah, he came in, he let his knee healed up. I think it's about a year now. So like it benefits us, but sucks didn't see him get any NLL reps. You know what I mean? But it benefits us this year because he's not a pro. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So
that's
because we
true.
can put him
So
again. So
yeah, that could have put you guys
but
in a tough spot. Now I gotta ask Goa, even though he didn't start in 3 games, he still counts as a pro because he was on the roster for everyone, right? Or how does that?
yeah, that's how it works. I guess there's still some gray areas. I guess it's I don't know. I don't even think Lacrosse Canada knows right now. I
They're
don't
still
know
trying
how
to
they're
figure it
gonna.
out.
How, yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that because like when we went to President's Cup, I mean, rumors of Ladner having 6 pros and like counting his games and like he was on the roster but he never played type stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that counts for goal as well. But I do know if Zach would have played a game this year, he would have counted as a pro. And even though he was on injured reserve and not playing, so um, fortunate for us, he didn't. So it kind of works in our benefit. But as far as how they're gonna count all that is up to Lacrosse Canada, I guess, because it's there's I imagine there's people looking at the rule book and trying to
Oh, I'm
figure
sure.
out,
You know
what I
there
mean,
is.
these gray areas, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you know
So
there is. They're sitting there counting it down. They're like, "Well, go and played 15 minutes, so yeah, they're done. Get them out of here."
yeah,
And that's where it,
right.
and that's where it sucks too, because like you're better off getting reps in, and you see a lot of these guys, and honestly, so like you look at the way Fraser was scoring this year. I say it all the time. Like when you give offensive guys chances to score crazy goals like that, they just keep doing it. Like he
Yeah.
the way he scores is just insane. Clucci, now that guy's a monster too. Like you talk about one of those freak athletes standing next to that guy, you're like, ooh, you're big. Like he's
Yeah,
deceptively, bigger than he looks.
you're right. He's a big fella himself, so yeah, y-
You guys got a pretty. That's the one thing though, is you guys actually have a deceptively big team. It was talked about by some of the other teams how strong and how punishing like your team was, and really Billy D's mentality last year of coming in and coaching, how much that really did affect. I mean, the system though. I mean, do you think it helped your offense too, playing practice against those guys? And I mean, what do you think it's Billy D, or just you guys got something in the water down there?
I think it's a little bit of both. Billy D's, you know what I mean. The way the attitude he brings to the game, he's just, you know, he wants to punish you. You know what I mean. He don't believe in giving nothing away for free, right?
You got to
So,
earn every
and our
inch.
yeah, so our D guys do that to our offense. So our offense is actually, getting used to stuff like that, right? So, it's partly what we put in our water. Just kidding. But
Got a little Salamanca
yeah,
salt you sprinkle into it.
yeah, yeah, we got a little river water in there. So,
The mighty Ohio.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's just guys are just working hard. They're hungry. Same thing, right? We got a taste of what President Cup's like, and
And
I
now it's
think
going to be
you
closer to
know
home.
Yeah, and it's wide open, right? It's down to 3 pros. It's going to come down to, you know, who's got the best non-pros, right? So that's what it's going to come down to, and hopefully, we can make it back there and hopefully bring it home. That's a goal. I mean, it's a goal for everybody,
Yeah.
but
No, I like
that's
your
what we
odds
got.
on that. We've been doing this for an hour and a half, even though we only actually recorded an hour because the first half hour I screwed up. So I'm going to do a little fake goodbye here real quick. Then I want to talk to you about a couple things after. So thanks so much, Kevin, for your time. I really
Yeah.
appreciate. You guys have really helped us get going. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man, but really thank you for all the work you've put into it. The kids in your arenas, thank you. I mean, I'm sure most of them don't say it, but when you see the smile on these kids' faces when they see the pros, and then there's other guys that it's just like, hey, my dad's out there playing with these guys right now, and like they just like beam with it from watching their dad, like throwing a pass to this guy, or just even being on the floor with him. So as somebody who just gets to see the effect from all these kids and everybody, I really do appreciate what the amount of work that you guys have put into it.
Well, we we actually really appreciate you as well. I mean, there's a lot of people that we got players that come from Six Nations and their parent or their family or whatever can't make it out. So I've gotten actually a few messages this year and asking if we were going to be live streamed, and unfortunately at those games we weren't. So, um, you know, big ups to you as well. We appreciate you doing this because without you, like, we wouldn't be you know, broadcasting the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the league's getting out there, and you know what I mean. And we definitely, and I can speak for my team. We definitely appreciate you making a drive down and doing our games as well.
Absolutely. I love it. Like I said, there's nothing. We look forward to Can-Am so much. It's my favorite league. I can't believe it's not it should honestly be more popular than the NFL, in my opinion, though. I mean, there's just nothing like the passion of, like, you could tell some of these
Right.
guys have been playing against each other for like 30, almost 40 years now, some of these players. I mean, they're going
Yeah.
out there and then they're smack talking and then afterwards shaking hands and hugging. And it's like, hey, you coming over for
Yeah.
dinner? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
You guys were
Yeah.
just ready to like kill
Yeah.
each other 2 seconds ago. And now it's like, oh,
Yeah.
everything's great. But
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching this into the end. If you would like to suggest or nominate somebody else for this next podcast, go ahead and leave it in the comments section. We really do appreciate all the support. And please consider buying us a drink a month. You know, whether you want to call it a coffee or a beer, we appreciate it either way. Become a Baby Squatch today. Click the link down in the description.